right? So I look at Wing Chun as also a tool. How you use that tool is up to you. And as long as you are a responsible person, then you're not always using it as a tool to like hurt someone or kill someone, but instead use it as just a part of your life.
On the today topics, we're gonna talk a little bit about self-defense
Cool.
and strength training. So that's why today I bring a Krav Maga instructor here, so that I bring the expert in the house. In self-defense, as I know that there are three different things that you can help the situations. The first thing is you need the mind. You need to smart enough to prevent all of the situations, right? And then you need to like calm enough so that during the situation you can still function, right? And then the second thing is the techniques. You need the techniques to execute it, right? Let's say you remain calm, but you doesn't know how to do it, so now you cannot do it that effectively, right? And then the last thing is the strength, the muscle, the body conditions, right? So what's your take on that? Could you briefly go over each?
From my own personal experience when it comes to training people in self-defense, I find that those pieces are really valuable. They're the cornerstone of what helps somebody learn the skills or not. I also find that who shows up is going to determine how I teach it, because we're in a place where we're so diverse. We have so many cultures, so many experiences, backgrounds. Someone who has zero martial arts training will, they'll be starting off in a different way from someone who has some or a lot of martial arts training but wants to apply it to a self-defense reality type of world. So what I usually do is, number one, I'll look at and I can only talk for myself based on my own experience.
Oh, sure, yeah, sure.
What I find is if I want to be the most effective to the student, I have to figure out what's their start point. Do they need that mindset? Because most of them do. And what I usually do for mindset is I try to help them understand that self-defense is a tool that they apply versus what used to be on the internet a lot, which is if you learn this technique, you will survive. Almost like the responsibility is put on the technique and not so much on the individual. So I try to help people understand how well you do is really based on you. Like anything, you want to learn to be a good cook, there's no famous recipe that you just do it and all of a sudden you're world class. No, you need the skill to do that. Driving, the same thing, right? Doesn't matter what it is, we all need that skill. So first thing is the mindset. Number two, I find generally most people, not always, but most people are physically weak. They don't have a lot of fitness. Here in North America, fitness is kind of like some do, some don't. Whereas some other countries, a lot of people are doing, the majority of them do fitness, right? So here I get their fitness up and I get them to understand fitness mentality with what we're about to apply, right? For self-defense. Third, once they get that, I want them to build confidence, because I find most people who come to a self-defense class, like you were telling me earlier when we were doing some training, you said a lot of them come in with a problem of some type. So usually there's an insecurity. So what I'll usually do is I'll start them with learning how to develop power from their own body. Not speed, not timing, not accuracy, not anything else. Some power at least first, because most people that come to my classroom, they've never tasted what it's like to actually feel physically powerful at some level. A lot of times my students were grown up in environments where they weren't so confident, where they weren't the alpha, where they weren't being highly regarded. So they come in with that feeling of, of insecurity. And I respect that, because that's exactly where I started way back 2007. Once I start to help them understand how their body functions and they start to develop some power, then a new personality from them starts to evolve. When that starts to evolve, then I look at them and I figure out, okay, what more can I help them with to excel them in the self-defense training mindset and program? Because like you said, the mindset never leaves. The mindset never, it's like, for example, if someone gets too arrogant, then they're going to need a different kind of training to calm them down. But if someone is still not confident enough, a lot of times it takes more patience with that person to build up their confidence, and then we can start deploying new techniques, new situations, new scenarios. Which before, like, this is new stuff, by the way. This is not how I used to teach it. The old cookie cutter system that I grew up in, which is fine because it was a template, but I had to grow out of that, was just train them, teach them the techniques, throw them into scenario type drills, and it was on repeat. It was on repeat. And you know what I discovered?
Yeah.
That system of teaching got a lot of people good with their hands to a degree, but it made them walk into the world with a lot of PTSD, with a lot of stress, looking at the world like everything is a ring fight or everything is a self-defense scenario. I'm going to walk around that corner. Oh my goodness, there's going to be somebody there that's about to stab me. They walk around the corner. It's a 90-year-old grandma just walking by. Like, why did you have to be so, tense? It's a granny. She's not going to hurt you.
Yeah.
Right? But the training triggers that. So I had to learn how to use what you said and mix and match it depending on the person.
So would you say that the mind or the techniques or the strength, the human strength, the body conditioning, which of it is the best? Like, which of it is the most important?
The most important has to be mind first, because this is the computer system. This controls everything. So if this isn't right, these won't fire and function the way that they're supposed to. And sometimes it won't even fire at all, or sometimes it'll fire in the wrong environments. Right?
Oh, that's true. Because from my experience, sometimes that the student come to me, right? But there's like, oh, how can I protect myself from this situation, that situation, right? But I'm like, yeah, if you're smart enough, and then you go around it, right? You have the good attitude. You never have to fight anyways. You avoid bad neighborhood. You avoid bad timings, right? Like, you go to the crackhead world and you expect that they're not gonna attack you, right? So if they're smart enough, they're already preventing like 80% of it, right?
Right.
Yeah, but let's say beside that, then if they have to actually face the problems, so the human strength condition or the techniques work best.
So after somebody understands that their mind is the most important, then we look at the individual. If they already have some strength, then I'll get them to focus more on their technique. But if they come in with no strength, no endurance, they feel feeble, which sometimes people do, and I respect that. It's just how it is. Then I'll get them to focus a lot more on their strength conditioning with a little bit of technique. I believe being a good coach in the self-defense field, you have to be a lot of things. You have to put on a lot of hats. You have to be a little bit of a practical psychologist. You have to be a little bit of a sports nutritionist. You have to be a little bit of a tactical, the way you move type of art. Like, you should know your art to a degree. And you should also have the flexibility to change your approach if the person's 6 feet to when they're 4 feet tall, if they're a man or a woman, if they're 60 years old or if they're 25 years old and have done previous martial arts like yourself, right?
Yeah.
So both of them are important, but how you apply it, I believe there's no cookie cutter where it's always like this. To sum it all up, to make it really simple, all of them connect. There's many things that connect them, but there's one major thing that connects them, that makes them more effective, and that's building their confidence. Now, how you build a person's confidence comes down to the individual. It's really important as an instructor to be very open and aware to what you have in front of you. Kind of like ingredients to when you're cooking. If you expect 10 ingredients here and then 1 or 2 of them are a little bit off, you can't cook it the exact same way. You have to change your approach, right? Students are the same way. There is no, like, when it comes to technique, yes. When it comes to forms, we all have a standard way of teaching it. But what you're asking isn't about the technique, it's about the application.
Yeah, that's true.
So how you apply is very different depending on each person. So how well they learn is really dependent on the instructor's ability to be flexible. If they're not flexible, some will pick up, some won't. If they're more flexible, some more will pick up, some still won't.
To close it up, what you want to say to the audience out there that, let's say they want to protect themselves, give them something that, like a boost for them after they seeing this clip, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So first step, don't die. I'm kidding. I might have to edit that out.
No, that's cool.
But no, it's true. What I mean by don't die is don't buy into people's garbage. There's garbage out there. There's gonna be garbage anything you do, right? But when it comes to finding a coach, there's 2 things that has to happen. Number 1, I believe the person has to be ready to commit. There's a lot of dabblers out there that want to, they're keyboard warriors. They're like, yeah, I want to be great. I want to be amazing. But if they don't want to do the work, then don't waste your time. And I say that respectfully, because sometimes the people I find that are the most frustrated are the ones that sit on the fence. They either don't do it or they do it, but they don't know, so they just sit on the fence. Don't be a fence sitter. Choose, right? And once you've decided that, you know what, I'm going to give something a shot. 3 months is usually what I say as a bare minimum. Not 1 day, not a week. It's got to be 3 months, because you need time to warm up to the classroom. You need time to warm up to the instructor, vice versa. That takes time, right? Some things should not be rushed. Number 2, before you step into a classroom, it's important, I believe, to get to know the personality of the instructor and find out, does that personality fit with you? Example, one of my old instructors was a high level, he was considered a high level martial artist. He was powerful, he was fast, he was amazing. He also had a great history. He was ex-military, he was an ex-Navy SEAL. He also trained in Japan for a number of years under some high level masters, also went to the Philippines. Like, he's just an amazing roster. And I thought, wow, like, I should go train with him. I'm learning from the best person possible at this period of my life. I go and meet him. 5 minutes, my brain is like, I need to get the hell out. I need to get the hell out. And it's because my personality is more relaxed, as you said. I like being relaxed. I like learning in a semi-relaxed environment. Him, everything was, do it right now, you want to do it. Like, he was just crazy. I'm like, holy crap, I'm sweating. But I mean, I was in my 20s, okay? I was like super small, and he was just large. I thought, I'm gonna die. I physically am gonna die. I signed up to be murdered. It was just crazy. So I'm saying that because before, there were not a lot of instructors. Now there's way too many on the internet. You as a student need to take the time to find someone who you can learn from. One of my uncles said this to me before he passed away, a really smart guy. And he said, because I used to say, I got to find the high level guys, like the high level guys. He said, Allan, if you're new, don't worry about high level just yet. I was like, what the hell are you talking? What do you mean? He goes, because when you're new, everything is open. Like, you're new to everything. So it's better to find a good instructor who knows like more than you, but is excellent at communicating, versus a really high level instructor that can't communicate with you, and then you learn almost nothing. Like, after you've gotten what you've gotten from that entry level instructor, then you can move on, of course. But you got to go based on your pace. Case in point, if I had met Sifu Adam 10 years ago, I don't know if I would have been able to learn from him.
Yeah,
I was very like novice. I was very uncertain of myself. I wasn't able to take pressure. I didn't know who I was. Now we go into his class, like if he hits me, my brain doesn't go, oh, he wants to kill me, that's it, it's over, my life is over, can I have a refund please? Like, that doesn't go through my head. Like, I can take the hit, I can take the, like, if he gives me criticism, like this technique that you're applying, you're not applying it that well. Now I realize he's giving me advice, good advice that's helping me save my life. 10 years ago, I would have maybe taken that personally, like, oh, maybe he doesn't like me, you know? Insecurity, right?
Yeah.
So it's very important to find that instructor that you can mesh well with. I find the personality conflict is much more important to avoid in the beginning versus learning from someone who's just incredibly high level, but then you don't know if you can actually learn from him.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, just like example is like earlier when we training, and then I show you the really traditional jizao, right? And then
that's fascinating.
When I verbally show you that, like, I'm like, here what I'm gonna do, here what you do, and then I verbally communicate with you. I feel like you cannot get what I'm trying to say. What you cannot get what I'm delivering. And then from my experience, from my perspective, you're like a really high skill martial artist, right? Like, so I'm like, okay, let's change a bit. It's not that you cannot understand it. It's just you didn't receive the information. So I change a bit. So I use my hand to actually move your hand and hit you and drag you. And then now you're like, okay, I get that. Like you that's just like different way of learning, right? So
which makes you a good teacher because you're willing to be flexible, and that's super valid. That's super important, really, because some people will be so strict on how they teach it. It's like completely on the student to learn, and I get it. The student has a responsibility to learn, but these days I also believe the instructor, if they want to be effective at getting their information through, they also have to be flexible with their explanation. So if you have a flexible student and a flexible instructor, oh my God, the ability to learn is just becomes super rapid, right? Versus just one of them flexible and the other one's too rigid. I don't know.
Yeah, I totally. So it should come from both sides, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I totally agree with that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so just to sum up what you said that they should do it. They should do or not to do it, right?
Commit for a period of time.
Like
Yes.
commit for a period of time.
Yes.
Choose the one that fit them, right? Not just like skills wise, like more like personality wise. Like
They should have some skills. Like if you see somebody that looks like they belong somewhere else than a martial arts, like maybe a comedy show, then no, don't go to the don't go to the comedy show. But if you can see that he or she has some good skills and it's skills you don't know, and you're thinking, I would like to learn that, the next thing to look at them as is to look at their personality. Like someone, okay, here's a good tip that I found very helpful. People that are willing to put their, like what you're doing, put your personality out there in the internet, to me that shows a high level of confidence. And someone who has high level of confidence can transfer confidence to their students. We can only give what we have inside of us. That's why people who talk but don't do, they don't carry a lot of weight because they don't have the experience. But if you have confidence and you're sharing that and it shows in your videos, that's a very good sign that that is an instructor that you can dissect mentally and think, okay, can I learn from this person or not? The ones that I think that we got to avoid sometimes, not always, but many times, are the ones who don't put any of their stuff up. Now, some people, they are very underground. They don't want to share anything. But if someone is trying to build their business or build their brand, or they're trying to get more students to come and learn from them, but they never show any of them, their personality, they're just like beating up their students, or they're just breaking things, but they're never talking, they're never letting you know what's in their head. Oh, sometimes that makes me shy away.
Yeah, like I don't know, like I'm willing to learn from anyone to a certain degree. Like
Right.
if the guy, if like right now, if somebody show up and then boom, I'm on the ground, I don't know what happened. I was like, could you do it over and over? Could you show me? Could you show me?
Right.
Like, but to a degree, right? If you just keep doing that, all I have is concussion, right? So
Yeah, you don't want concussions. Communication is a skill in itself, and those who have it, in my opinion, are the most valuable because they have the highest ability to transfer that knowledge from them to you. And as a student, that's what we're there for. We want their skills. We want to learn what they can do. We want to learn how they see the world so we can better apply what they do for us, right? Without that ability to know what's in their head, we can learn to a degree, but then there becomes this plateau. And in order to break through the plateau, we have to be able to see the world and the moves and our techniques and how we apply them through a different lens. But that can only be shared if the instructor is willing to share it.
Yeah, like that's so cool. Like only from the interview today when I'm talking to you and then I ask you questions, I already learned so much, man. Like
Right.
that's why the older the ginger is, the spicier it is, right? So don't mess with this guy. It might look funny, but it's not.
I've never heard that before. That's pretty good.
No, that's like a really old quote in Vietnam. Like the old ginger is, the more spicy it is. So don't mess with the old guy, okay? Keep your adrenaline down, keep your chemical down. I know you're in the mid-20s, in your midlife crisis, try to prove your points, but you should leave the arrogant out of the way and then just like start fresh. I gotta do it, right? Just like him. He's 40 something, but he's still like 20 years old. That's why he can hang out with me.
Yeah.
He's like forever young, man. All right. That's
Thank
good.
you, man.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
that's good.
Super good.
Yeah.